What? Oh, hey, it's you again. Excellent. So you've made it through the Choose Your Own Adventure portion of this little tutorial video series I've been putting together. From here on out, we're going to be talking about teams in the general sense. So everything I talk about with this browser you see behind you basically applies to a Windows, a Mac, or iOS, Android, basically anything. So from here on out, it doesn't really matter what machine you're using, you'll pretty much be able to use this information. In this first video, we're going to talk about the actual Teams tab and how your student can communicate with the teachers that run the respective classes they have. I had mentioned earlier about the Activity tab in the installation videos. There's really not too much more to go over, so we're not going to bother covering it, but the basic idea is that the Activity tab is where you can find any new important information that the student might need to know. So anytime a teacher posts something in a team that your student needs to know, usually it'll show up on this activity feed. So that's pretty much all there is to know about the Activity tab. Now then, let's get down to business and start talking about the actual Teams page. Now, when you click the Teams tab up here, what's probably going to happen is it will open up whatever team you were looking at last. In this case, we're looking at Russ's Awesome Team. But if you want to go through and see all of the other teams that you're a part of and find out, maybe there's some assignments in another class or something you want to see, all you have to do is click this little button up here that says All Teams right about there. So we'll click that. And you can see we are back to the Teams page. Oh, and here's Microsoft saying, like, hey, we moved everything around without telling anybody, and we think that's probably fine. So you say, got it. Good job, Microsoft. In any case, here we can see all of the teams, i.e. classes, that this student belongs to. There is a CAD class, there is an English class, and then there's going to be our example class here, Russ's Awesome Team. So in order to get into the class and see what's going on in there, all we have to do is just go ahead and click on that class. Now, the actual page that comes up when you click on a class is actually divided into two sections. Right here, this is the Teams and Channel section. This is where if a team has multiple channels, you'll be able to see what they are. A quick explanation of what channels are. A channel is basically a way of organizing a team. If a particular teacher maybe teaches multiple classes or multiple subjects, they might end up splitting up the team into multiple channels so they can keep things separated. So it's easy to see, like, okay, here I'm going to get math advice, here I'm going to get, English advice. Other people might use it to split up between just sort of like a main channel, like the general, and secondary channels, like if you wanted to hold office hours, which is what I have right here. To show you what the difference between these two things are, we're actually going to talk about what this side is here. This is the channel section of the page. Everything that you see here is a part of the general channel right here. So you can see if I click the office hours channel to switch over to that, you'll see that everything on this side of the screen changed, including everything up here and everything you see on this side here. So that's how channels work. Generally speaking, the vast majority of teachers will only use the general channel and may only sometimes use secondary channels as a means of putting out sort of like secondary information. As always, like if there's anything specific you need to know about how a teacher is running their team, feel free to simply ask them. Now, you might be asking, well, how do I ask them? Well, perfect question, person I can't hear on the other side of the video screen. We're going to talk about that right now. So we're going to go back to the general channel, which is the one channel that will be on every single one of these teams. You'll see up here that the general channel is divided up into a few little tabs here. The one we have selected right now is the Posts tab. Now, Posts is basically set up to be very much like a social media. It's like Facebook or... Well, it's actually mostly like Facebook. It's not a whole lot like Instagram. But the way that it's like Facebook is that it's divided up into conversations. Things that you post here and things that the teacher can post here can be images, they can be text, they can be conversations, they can be video. Any way the teacher wants to communicate in a general way will show up on this posts page. So we'll go ahead and scroll up and see an example of what I've done here. You can see there are some comments I have from some students that I've added. You can see over here we have some meetings that show up here. We'll talk about those in a little bit greater detail later. And over here, you'll see that I have uploaded a couple of videos for the students to watch. We're actually going to cover that in just a minute. So you can see that the teacher will post things, and they'll show up for the students. Now, if a student wants to reply to something the teacher has said, you can see that right underneath each of these individual posts, there is a reply button. So here you can see I have a comment here from example student. This was a great video. I'm going to reply to that and say like, meh, 7 out of 10. I mean, there's one in every team. I might as well be both. So as you can see, that replies to this comment right here. Now, if the student wants to talk directly and start a new conversation, what you can do is down here, you'll see it says start a new conversation. We'll go ahead and tap that, and we'll say, hey, guys, did you see the new Sonic movie? It was actually pretty decent. Now you can see I have started a new conversation. So if anybody wants to reply to me, they simply click that reply button and it will show up as a comment underneath that. You'll see that this comment is distinct from the comment above it. Like there's actually like that little separation right there. That's how it's like Facebook, and that it is organized into those sort of comment chains. Now, how much a teacher will allow the students to communicate on this page will vary from teacher to teacher. Some teachers like to use this page merely as a place to notify students of new things, and other teachers like to use this as a way for the students to actually contact them. It'll vary from class to class, and you'll find out once you start having your student interact with these different pages. So I had mentioned earlier that videos can be posted on here. And often you will see teachers posting videos on here as references for your students. Sometimes it'll be Zoom meetings that they've had. Other times it will actually be meetings that have occurred on Teams itself. In order to see a video that's been posted, all you have to do is simply click the little box, and it will open up in a new window the video in a website called Microsoft Stream. Now, if this doesn't immediately come up, what might happen is it might ask you to sign in. Because this is a Microsoft product, it's going to ask you to sign in, and you're going to want to sign in as the student, the same as you would if you were going to sign into Teams here. That will allow you to have access to this video that the teacher has posted. But you can see once we're here, all we have to do is simply click this little play button, and the video will start playing. One of the reasons that we like using Microsoft Stream, aside from the fact that it allows us to make it so that only students can see certain videos, is that it actually comes with a little automatic transcript here. Now, depending on the quality of the video upload, this transcript can actually be extremely accurate. So it's a great way to help students who might have a hearing disability. It basically provides auto captions the same way you would get in like a YouTube video, for example. So that's how you can actually access any videos that a teacher might be sending to a student. Now, the next thing that might happen is teachers might start live meetings where the students can actually interact directly with the teacher. Now, there are two different methods that teachers can do this. They can either do it through Zoom, in which case they will post a Zoom link here. You simply click that, and it will open up a new browser window that will allow you to participate in the Zoom meeting right there. Or they might start the meeting directly from Teams. Teams does have a built-in video function. It's actually Skype that allows you to do basically the same thing that Zoom does, except entirely contained within Teams itself. Which the teachers use is basically just a matter of preference on their part. But both are available regardless of what kind of device you have. One of the nice things, if they do it in Teams, though, is that the meeting, as soon as it's done, if they recorded it, will show up right here for you to simply click on and view after the fact. So if we click it, the meeting itself will pop up, and it will show not only what the teacher presented, but it'll also show if any of the students were, participating. It'll show, their video sort of like back and forth. So it's a way that you can see a class sort of after it's already happened. So anyways, that is going to be the posts page. In the next video, we're going to talk about assignments and how teachers can provide information to students through them, and how you can interact with them directly.